Reister wrong. It's your boy, George Reister in the building. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy, and always visit unafraidshow.com. We have all type of great articles up, all of this. But today we have a special guest. We have Jacques Slade, aka at Cousteau. He's a content creator on YouTube. Find him on Twitter. All of this stuff. I mean, this man knows everything there is to know about shoes, and he's got the exclusive. I mean, like when you visit his YouTube channel, you will see unboxings of $30,000 shoes, the most expensive Nikes of all time, like Yeti boxes with Adidas in them, like all sorts of things. Thanks for joining us today, Jacques.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So I've known you for quite a long time.
Right.
And until I saw you at South by Southwest, I did not know that you were a content creator and all these great things that you were doing. And then I looked at your YouTube channel and I'm like, damn, like Jacques is out here doing the damn thing. And so my first question to you is this. Is like, as a social media influencer, YouTuber, all of this, like, what the hell is that exactly?
That's a really tough question to answer because there's so many different versions of like influencers and so many different versions of YouTubers and content creators. I just like to say it's people that have been able to follow their passion, and because of that, they have followers, or people that look to them for advice or that like the things that they like. I think I've just been able to find a community of people that agree with me when it comes to like sneakers and music and technology and stuff like that.
So you just woke up one morning because you're kind of like you're an early adopter. Like you're a person who got on YouTube early, and those seem to be the people who generally have the most success because they have a longevity of doing these things. So did you just wake up one morning, you saw YouTube and you were like, wait, hold up, I see some money in my future?
No, you know what? I honestly, I was watching YouTube a lot. So I started on YouTube technically in 2010. I was doing YouTube videos for a publisher. So I did that for 3 years. And then in 2013, I started doing it on my own. So I've been technically a YouTuber or creating videos for YouTube for the last 8 years. 6 of those, or 5 of those really being on my own. But I started doing it for them just because I found it was an avenue that we hadn't, as a publisher, they hadn't really tapped into. This was back when blogs were really big and everyone was into blogging. It was like, gotta get a blog, gotta get a blog, gotta get a blog. So while that was established, I was looking for something else to kind of complement what we were doing as on the writing side, and that's where YouTube came in. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of got lucky in that sense that, especially for sneaker and sports world, not a lot of people were doing YouTube stuff, and so it opened up an opportunity for me to really kind of expand in that world and kind of become one of the faces that people know, because really no one else was really doing it at that time.
Yeah, and the funny part about it is when you look at parents, even, right? Like what you do and what I'm doing and all this stuff, so many other people, it's an actual career path. Like this is a way to make money. Like this is like all the traditional career paths, like this is a way to make a living.
Absolutely. When I first started doing the YouTube videos, I'll be totally honest, I didn't expect this to be a career path for me. I didn't expect that I'd be making a living doing this. I thought it was something that I would be doing, like I said, for someone else, since I was doing it for those publishers. And so I thought, like, this is what, it'll be just be something complimenting for them. And then in 2013, when I started doing it on my own, by then I had learned that people were really kind of living and surviving off of YouTube.
Yeah.
And so then it became more of a reality of like, maybe this is something that I can do as a living. But even then, when I started on my own, I wasn't sure. I would say probably within the last, 2.5 years, have I been like, oh, okay, I can make a living off of this.
I see. There's a difference between. I like the word that you use. You were like, hold up, I can survive off of this. but it's not even for you at this point. It's not even like surviving; it's thriving.
Right.
So, and it's so funny because you see so many people trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and I don't think that they understand like how difficult it is, like creating content on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do to get you in that mind frame to be able to create content?
Well, for me, I really look at it like a job. Like I get up every morning, just like everybody else that's got to go to work. Like I get up, come into my studio and treat it just like work. I'm up at 5:30 every morning, get the kid to school. I go work out, and then I come into the office and I'm here. And I know that I have to create. Like I know this is my job. Just like anybody else has to go to the bank and be a teller or be a loan officer or whatever it is. Like that's what I look at. That's how I look at content creation. I walk in here and I know like I have to get stuff done.
Well, like what is the mind frame? I mean, specifically because for me, like I literally had to change my whole mindset into being into asking why. Like so. I'm always being curious about things. Like, oh, I wonder what this is about. I wonder what I think about this subject. And then it just like put me in a different mind space to be able to create some better content.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, because my content is so visual, I think that most of my time, a lot of my time is spent is how can I make this an experience that that this community will enjoy. So I shoot multiple angles. I shoot B-roll. I do a ton of research to make sure that I know everything about the sneaker or the sport or the athlete that I'm talking about. So I do all of those things and hope that I can add value to the community. Like a lot of people, I shouldn't say that. My goal was never to be like, I got this. Look what I got. It was more about, hey, check out this cool product, whether I have it or not. Here's some information, here's some knowledge, here's some value that I can add for you about this product.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because sneakers are like the growth of sneakers in terms of as a community has been crazy.
Yeah.
Like when you look at like it started way back when we were younger when kids were getting killed literally for a starter jackets.
Yeah.
And now you have so many people like that they literally will spend every single dollar that they have on shoes. Like how does that play into how you feel about what you do and sneakers and all this stuff in general?
I mean, I always try to preach, especially when it comes to that sort of thing, to the violent and unfortunate events that kind of come around sneakers. I always make an effort to let people know that it's not worth going there. Like it's never worth going there, especially for sneakers. I shouldn't say especially for sneakers, really for anything. Like going to that extent is not necessary. And then for like people that spend their last dime or their last dollar for sneakers, I try to, I look at it as like sneakers is growing so much and it's allowed so many people to create businesses, myself included. Like
Yeah.
my business is based around sneakers. But there's resellers, that creative businesses. There's resale stores, there's retail shops, there's retail spots online. All of these things are offshoots of business. They're streetwear brands that have come out of people that had a love for sneakers and wanted to find something that they can wear with their sneakers. There's analysts that have come out of the product. There's writers. There's TV shows. There's YouTube series. Like all these things have sprung out of sneakers. So when I hear like people like spending their last dollar, I try to have them look at it like, great that you love sneakers. I appreciate the fact that you love sneakers, but how can you turn this into something that helps you as well? After you get past the, oh, I have all a bunch of these cool sneakers. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what have you gained from that?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. And I think the biggest thing is that when people are only consumers as opposed to being able to find a way to monetize their passions. Because if you love sneakers, there's nothing wrong with you being a sneakerologist, being an expert at this, but you have to find a way to monetize these passions, like the things that you spend the most time on.
Right. Oh no, absolutely. And I think that's really important too. Like there are people that are just consumers, and that is okay. Like if sneakers is just something that you really like and it's not like a passion, it's just something like you like to get every once in a while, like that's cool. But for those that are passionate about it, I try to encourage them to make more of it. Whether that's the sneakers lead you to do something in sneakers, or if the sneakers lead you to do something else, whether that leads you to start a marketing agency, or that leads you to be a director, or that leads you to be an actor, or whatever it is, like use that as a catalyst to do something else. Find something within that sphere of sneakers that you can pull from and turn it into something else.
Well, how many of these kids that they watch you on YouTube, they see you on Twitter, Instagram, all of these things, how many of them hit you up and they're like, "Yo, how can I get these sneakers?" And what is your advice to them usually?
Well, I get, I would say, 50 DMs a day for kids asking me for a pair of sneakers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I just don't answer them just because, like, the ones that I do answer are the kids that are like, "Hey, I want to do what you do. How do I get started?" To those, I respond. But for the ones that are just asking for sneakers, I kind of just scroll past those. Um, just because I like, for me, it's not about just getting that pair of sneakers. It's like, what do you want to do? If
Yeah.
you like, I'm not just going to give you a free pair of sneakers. If you want to, there's plenty of people in need that need sneakers that I can give them to.
Yeah, and then when you really think about it, like, because I have I have an 18-year-old, 12-year-old, 8-year-old, 7-year-old, and the 12-year-old is the most into sneakers. Period. Like this dude loves sneakers,
Nice.
and it was the same way that I was when I was younger. But I think that his experience is different because I didn't grow up in a house where I was getting Jordans and LeBrons and all of these shoes, but like he has them, but he still has that passion for it.
That
And for
passion.
yeah, and for me, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how on earth can I like teach him? Okay, like yes, it's nice to have nice things and all of this stuff, but at the same time, me spending, I'm not spend. He already knows. Like unless you do something extraordinary, Dad is not buying you no damn off whites. Dad is not buying you nothing exclusive while this 12-year-old foot is still growing, man.
Right, right. No, I hear that. I hear that 100%. I hear that 100%. We grew up in similar households where this wasn't something that we were able to get all the time, and now that we are, it's definitely. I treat it as a, what is it, like, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not as a gift, but as a privilege that I'm able to
Yeah,
do this. And so, I think, but I do appreciate the fact that he is able to experience that,
yeah.
and still have that passion, and that'll drive him. And I feel like it'll give him more ammunition later on down the line, that he was able to actually have these in his hands. Plus, he's still passionate about it. And whether he decides to go into sneakers or whatever it is he decides to do, that could just be his thing, or it could be the impetus for, whatever his business idea is when he's 15.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago, like the best way for you to get resale sneakers, because I don't think that people generally understand how big the sneaker resale market is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they like they're always looking. They're like, oh wow, like why are these Oregon Jordans going for so much? Because when I
Yep.
tell people I had a pair, one time I was wearing a pair of the Jordan threes, the Oregon Jordan threes, the white ones, and
Yep.
somebody tried to buy them off of my feet for $1,500.
Yep. Easy.
Yeah, and
Easy.
so what makes a sneaker so valuable? What is the difference between a shoe that retails for 150 bucks, but then some of those are have extravagant prices as opposed to like the PEs, like the Oregons or the LeBrons or something that you can't buy. Some of the ones that you buy in stores actually cost more than those.
Yeah, I think it really boils down to supply and demand. Like, it's like the basic principles. There's certain shoes that are highly coveted, like that people really want. Like, for instance, all the Oregon stuff is, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it just because it's super exclusive, and it's really hard to get your hands on it. Like, it's gotten so bad. Like, people want the Oregon stuff so bad that the kids, they can't even keep their PEs anymore, their Oregon PEs anymore. So they give them to wear, and they have to give them back at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and then they get them when they graduate. like, but they can't keep them in their room or hold on to them
Well,
anymore
part
because
of
the kids are selling them.
yeah, and that's what is crazy about college sports is that you issue me something, right? So first of all, that you don't pay me. Yes, I get to go to school and all this, but I generate a lot of money for the university. But then you give me something. This is the only place in America where I can't sell something that you give me. And like you've had players suspended. You've
Yep.
had North Carolina, who's sponsored by Jordan as well. They just had a bunch of people. They had 8 football players suspended because they sold shoes,
Yep.
and like it's gotten crazy. So how much like give people an idea like how much do some of these Oregon shoes or some of the other like colleges like the North Carolinas or something like that Michigans go for?
They could I mean, they could easily go for 3, 4, $5,000, like brand new, brand new. I said brand new. I'd probably say 3, $4,000. Used, probably about $1,500 to $2,000. And it just depends on how much they're coveted. That also determines the price. So, and then there's also just certain schools too. Like Nike is obviously the top dog when it comes to sneakers, and then on top of that, one could say is Jordan.
Yeah,
So like the fact that Oregon gets Jordan PEs is like a huge deal. Even though like they're a Nike school, they get Jordan PEs
yeah,
like that Tinker made himself. And Tinker is a legendary sneaker designer.
yeah.
So for Tinker to have something that goes to Oregon, like that just adds the how much people want it. Like, oh, it was made by Tinker. It's a Jordan. It's a Oregon PE. People can't get their hands on it. I want a pair of those. And it's really all about clout. Like I get if
Yeah.
I don't go to Oregon and I get myself a pair of Oregon 3 PEs, like that's more about clout because people either know one, I got a crazy plug
Yeah.
that was able to get me a pair, or two, I spent the sort of money it takes in order to get myself a pair. So like that just adds to the clout. Like, oh, he got Oregon threes. Like it's either like what does he do or how much money he got that he's able to
Oh,
get those. So
yeah.
it's all about clout.
It literally affects how people feel about your importance as a person. Like they're like, he's the man. He's got these special shoes. I
Right.
like you could have like it seems like to me that you could have a guy who's got a brand new Bentley, right? And he drives it around. Yeah, yeah, somebody's like, okay, yeah, that's nice. He's got money. But then somebody is walking around with like crazy unreleased sneakers, and everybody's like, "Whoa, who is he?
Who
What
is
is it?
he? Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
what makes him so damn special that he gets these?"
I think it's just sneakers. Like there's such a hype around sneakers, and sneakers has grown so much over like the last 10 years. This used to be something that was really niche. Like only people that were really into sneakers could like kind of find sneakers or look sneakers up or knew what was what. But because of the internet and because of Instagram and Twitter and all like that, like a lot of this information is out there now, and
Yeah,
it's starting to kind of permeate into just like the regular sort of population that's out, like the population outside of sneakers. So say like that area, that ring right around the sneaker ring of hardcore sneaker guys. There's a ring outside of that of people that are just like casually into sneakers, and those people are kind of becoming experts and learning what's really hot, what's not, what people really want, what people really don't want, what's going for on the resale market versus being sold at retail. So that just adds to the hype and the really like the supply and demand. There wasn't even enough really for the sneaker culture.
yeah.
Now that more people want them, it's becoming even a bigger deal for you to have certain sneakers.
How much do you think that like a guy like Kanye has been influential to this? Because I remember when his October Reds came out,
Yeah, yeah.
and like that seemed like the start kind of to me of where people were where it was mainstream in terms of shoes and people wanting to resell them on that level.
Yeah. So Kanye helped push sneakers into like the main population, I'll say. Like that exterior area of like the casual sneaker guy. I think Kanye helped push that envelope, really push people out into that world because he was such a huge pop figure at that time, and because of the way he was talking about Nike and being rebellious with that and like wanting to be paid and all this stuff and kind of almost like talking to the media, that caused a lot of
Yeah.
hype around Kanye. So when he went to Adidas, it was a big deal. Like to go from Nike to Adidas is obviously like a big thing, especially
Yeah, for
for a
sure.
star that big. Like on like the only other person that you can really think of is like Kobe when he was with Adidas. He went for a year as a free agent and then ended up signing with Nike.
Yeah.
So like those sort of moments, they shift the culture. They shift the way that sneakers are perceived because those people are so big and they impact the culture and they're able to kind of dictate how the culture perceives certain things. And Kanye is definitely one of those people. There are people that will argue against his impact, but I think it's very clear based on if you're a part of this sneaker world and you see how
Yeah.
people perceive things now, you'll see that he definitely had a huge impact on how people receive shoes.
Yeah, I mean, even when he moved from Nike to Adidas, like Adidas, like had like a huge boom. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like it's fizzled a little bit now. I don't know whether it's because of Kanye and all his antics, or whether it's just. I mean, like so, like Adidas was what a year ago was like the hottest thing there was.
Yeah, like a year ago, you couldn't say anything to Adidas. Like they were on top. That buzz has definitely fizzled out a bit. Um, I think, but that's because of a couple of things, not just Kanye his comments, but yeah, there's a couple of different things that kind of contribute to that.
What are those things?
I think like the main shoe that got them a lot of buzz was the Ultra Boost,
Yeah,
and now that they're just on the sixth version of that shoe, and it didn't really evolve very much through the six versions, and so
yeah,
I think people kind of cooled in on that front. They weren't really they were pushing out a ton of colorways of different shoes instead of like doing limited drops of things.
yeah.
They were pushing out a ton of different colorways, and people kind of got like over it just because there was
Everybody
so many.
had one at that
Like
point in time.
yeah, like everybody had one, so it's like like I don't really want these. And part of the game is keeping stuff limited so that people still want it. And Adidas,
Yeah.
they
They
didn't play that game.
oversaturated the market. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
See,
play that game as efficiently as they could have.
I know people who work at Nike and at Jordan, especially like higher ups, like who do some of these marketing things. And it's funny because when you talk about the Ultra Boost, they said they say that it became, and this is the thing that they fight against as well, that their shoes, certain shoes, becoming Foot Locker shoes. And because they say that Foot Locker, even though it's a great retailer, all these things, that it's a place where shoes go to die.
Mm, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, because then it's not about the culture anymore. It turns more about sales.
Yeah,
And when it comes about sales and it comes to like the middle America consumer buying those shoes, then like the culture that influences things and that really changes things, they get turned off by it. And
oh for sure.
but that's just natural. That's
Yeah,
just like kids are going to get turned off by that just in general.
yeah, because when you look at their marketing campaigns now, like Nike with Kaepernick, you had Adidas when they were doing the round table with all of these people. Like it's about creativity and innovation and all of that. And you have all these apps, right? So you have like the sneaker apps, Kicks on Fire, JD Sports, Nike sneakers, Adidas confirmed. Like
Yeah.
like which of these do actually first the before I even ask that, do you buy sneakers first of all?
Yes. Yes. I probably buy 2 to 3 pairs a month, maybe more, depending on the month.
What's the last sneaker that you bought?
The last sneaker that I bought was the Mocha Jordan 3s. They just released on Friday.
So I've seen your studio. Like if Jacques has a sneakerhead like heaven, like and I always wonder. I don't think I asked you, like, of the hundreds or thousands of pairs of shoes that you've been through, come across, all these things, like how many of them do you actually wear? Because you only have 2 feet.
Right. Yeah. I wear a it's a mixed bag. I'll say this. I've worn about 60% of them once or twice at least.
Yeah.
But there are some that I have never worn.
Why not?
Either I just haven't gotten around to wearing them yet, or I haven't found like outfit to go with them, kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's just a matter of, or a lot of times I do buy stuff as well, just for like as a job, as part of the job of being a sneaker guy.
Yeah.
There's certain shoes that I just need to have in order to kind of help legitimize what I do. And also I know like there's certain stuff that people want to see. So,
Yeah.
and even if I don't like it, I still try to get things that people want to look at.
What is the most expensive pair of shoes that you've ever bought?
The most expensive pair that I ever bought was the Hyper Adapt, and those were $720.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. So we talk about these apps though. So some people sent in some questions. You guys, if you guys have questions for Jacques Slade, aka at Cousteau, he's a social media influencer, YouTuber, and content creator specifically around sneakers, and we'll get into his other stuff in a minute. But everybody's on all these apps. They're trying to get, is it random in terms of how you get on the list to be able to buy these exclusive shoes?
I'm told it's random. Each app has its own sort of draw or raffle sort of system.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be random. I've never won on any of those apps, so I can't tell you this. I know people that have won. I just haven't won myself. Not for the for the highly coveted stuff. If there's a raffle or draw involved, I haven't won yet. If it's just like you can just go in and buy it, I can get those all day long.
Yeah. So, and I remember back in the day when eBay was the way to buy sneakers.
Yep.
Like that eBay was a huge and big in the sneaker game, but obviously there was not regulation, and people weren't and people couldn't tell the fakes from the reals.
Right.
So but now you have like StockX, Flight Club, Goat, Kixify, Grailed, all of these things. Do you use those apps, and how do you work with them, like in terms of what you do?
I don't use any of those apps. I use them more for research, if anything else, if I'm trying to quote somebody on like what's the resale price.
Yeah.
But I haven't purchased from any of them personally. I have my reasoning for that is like I have enough sneakers that I don't need to pay resale for something. If I don't have it, then I just don't have it. If I can't get it for the retail price, then I just can't get it. Otherwise, it's like there's no reason for me to pay extra for a shoe.
Yeah. So you got guys like and here is what's interesting about the shoe game is that this is not just normal people. Like obviously the kind of the early adopters that you may have heard of, that people may have heard of, like Fat Joe, the rapper. You got like DJ Khaled, but now it's like trickled over into like mainstream where like you'll see the Kim Kardashians, the Kylie Jenners, you'll see,
And Rihanna.
Yeah. And they're like in sneakers. Like that this is so I think it's different when it where like it used to be just a guy's thing. But now women are so involved in this sneaker game too. Like how has that changed your audience, and how has it changed everything in general, you think?
Honestly, I really think we're at the very beginning of that. I think there's always been women that were into sneakers, but there really wasn't a place for them to have a voice because it was such a male-dominated thing. But I think that conversation is really starting to change. And a lot of it has to do with like the celebrity influencers. There's a lot of women celebrity influencers for sneakers, and that's changing the perception. A lot of times what brands were doing is what they would call pink it and shrink it, is where they would just take a man's shoe, make it pink and make it smaller, and then they'd sell it to women. But, now that conversation is starting to change and the women are having a bigger voice, and they're starting to be able to get like sneakers that aren't just pink or that aren't just smaller. So that conversation of women being involved, I think that's still evolving, and really we're just at the beginning of that as they get a bigger voice and more impact on the sneaker world.
Yeah, and this is actually translated over into athletes too, because like you see guys like PJ Tucker, who plays for the Houston Rockets. He was talking about he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on shoes, like buying resale shoes, and he's an NBA player.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what's crazy to me is that he wants to be out there showing out on a nightly basis in a new pair of shoes. Like how much of that do you think is new money behavior as opposed to just, like I'm just into shoes like that.
Yeah, I think part of it. There's two parts to that. One, I think he's into shoes like that, but also it's bringing him a level of notoriety within the sport and within the in pop culture
Yeah.
that he wouldn't be getting if he wasn't into sneakers. So I think that has definitely contributed to the buying that he's doing now,
Yeah.
because it puts him it just puts him into a different space. And as you know, as a former athlete, like whatever it is that makes you stand out from the crowd, that
Yeah.
is something that one, it lifts your notoriety in the league, and
Yeah.
two, that could also somehow turn into a check,
Exactly. Yeah.
so for him, I think he definitely was into sneakers, but the notoriety and where it's coming from now, I think is probably encouraging him a little bit to be a little more out there.
Yeah, because it's turning. I think for him especially, it's going to be able to translate into a life after basketball. Like
Yeah.
that, this is going to be a natural career transition because he's clearly passionate about it. He's putting money behind it, so that leads to interviews, potential shows,
Yep.
like sites, like anything like that. Because if you're StockX or you're any of these other places, like he's a guy that people trust and they look at. Like, let me see what PJ got on today.
Yep. Yep. I mean, imagine, like, especially like with stuff with like ESPN or Fox Sports, MSNBC or CNN, if they know the new LeBron comes out or the new whatever
Yeah.
shoe comes out, and once PJ Tucker is done with the league, who better than to get a former NBA player that was really into sneakers to come on and talk about sneakers?
Yeah.
Like it's like a win-win for him.
Yeah, and it's funny because I see that LeBron has now turned into a sneakerhead. He wasn't. He didn't used to be, but now he posted on his Instagram all the time, and I think that that's elevating the exclusiveness of his shoes, which allows people to which kind of influences and encourages people to say, you know what, I'm gonna pay this 190 for these LeBrons though.
Yep. Yep. And I think part of that too is LeBron taking ownership of his marketing as well.
Yeah,
So I think before, um, LeBron kind of let a lot of things happen marketing wise. He just kind of let it go, whatever it is. But I think now he realizes he has a better understanding of the sort of power and marketing power that he has, outside of the brand,
yeah.
and that he is literally his own brand now, and that he can use his social media to elevate or to amplify a message in a way that no one else can.
And it's funny because it used to only be Nike and then Adidas as options. Adidas used to have Derek. Well, they still do have Derrick Rose, James Harden. Even though
Hmm.
that these shoes aren't quite as coveted as some of the Nike shoes are, and you got Steph Curry over at Under Armour, all of these things, and so that went from two options to three options, and
Right.
this year is the first year that we've seen, like, I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that DeAndre Ayton, who's number one pick in the draft, was signing with Puma. And you
Yeah.
got Boogie Cousins with Puma. And then
Yeah.
and Kawhi Leonard just left Jordan to go be with New Balance.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you make of this and what is happening?
So this is something that I think started a couple years ago. I think it was actually more than a couple years ago. I think it was like 2011 or 2012. Dwayne Wade left Jordan to go and sign with the
Laning, right?
Li Ning, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he kind of wanted to have his own. He wanted to have his own brand. Like
Yeah.
Jordan has their own brand. He wanted to stand on his own. And although he wasn't the first, he was like the first high profile person to really do that.
Oh,
And
yeah, because you had Shaq.
yeah, yeah, Shaq, yeah,
He
Kevin
left.
Garnett.
Yeah, he left Reebok and went on his own, and then you had
Yeah.
like Stephon Marbury with the Starberries.
For the Starberries. Yeah, like those guys did it, but it just didn't. It wasn't as sneakers wasn't as big back then, and it didn't have such a it wasn't as cultural then.
Yeah,
But when Dwayne Wade did it, it had a bigger, broader cultural impact. And so now that opens up the eyes of a couple of these players, and especially really I would say these agents, to let them know like there are other opportunities out there. Like, yes, it's great to be with Nike. Yes, it's great to be with Adidas. But if you can kind of carve your own lane with these other brands, there's an opportunity there. Like, you don't have to be married to that. And like, especially with the way that some of these player deals are structured, some of these guys that you see wearing this product from Nike or Adidas, they don't get any money for it. They just get a stipend of being able to buy whatever shoes they want. And that's the extent of it. Some guys get paid, some guys get a logo, some guys get PEs, and then you have like the signature deals like the LeBrons and Kyries and James Harden and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys in the league, they're not anywhere near getting that sort of deal. So if they can go to Puma or go to New Balance and get that sort of love, then more power to them. I welcome them to it. Like,
so how do their shoes look though? That's the question. How do the shoes look? Because that's gonna deter. They can get all the money they want to, but these deals are gonna be short lived if the companies aren't putting the type of time and research into them that the same way that Nike and Adidas do on some level.
Well, that's the hope. You hope that they do, and that's like with Puma, like they're doing the Clyde Court Disrupt, which is a modern version of the old Puma Clyde, which is like the old school basketball sneaker. Yeah. And even though it looks a little different than what we see normally, it's a really good basketball shoe. I've played in it before. It obviously looks untraditional as far as basketball sneakers go, and it has great cushioning. It has their hybrid cushioning, which is actually really good. It's like a version of Nike's React and Adidas Boost kind of combined together. So there's opportunities there, and I think it's about more of the consumer opening up their eyes to what other options are out there. Just like athletes, like you want to be signed to Nike, you want to be signed to Adidas, straight out. As a consumer, you want to wear Nikes or you want to wear Adidas. That's just kind of how we've been trained. That's how we've been brought up. So it's really up to the consumer, I think, to really open up their options and see, oh, okay, what is Puma doing? Oh, what is Reebok doing? What is New Balance doing? Or what is Li Ning doing?
Yeah.
What is Anta doing? Because Li Ning and Anta, they have really great basketball shoes.
Yeah, because Klay Thompson is with them now too, right?
Right. I think Klay's with Anta.
Okay. Yeah, see, because there are so many options, and I think that we do have to open up our minds but the power of these influencers and of these athletes, entertainers who have these deals, because entertainers didn't used to have deals. Now you got Drake with Jordan. You have, Travis Scott is with somebody. You even have Post Malone with Crocs.
With Crocs, yeah.
Like, you have people in all walks of life, and it translates into some really nice shoes, but sometimes it turns into some ugly ass shoes like those. Like, what the hell are these things that keep coming out? Like these big, it's like a hybrid between a Nike Monarch meets like the Kanye's and the Balenciagas and all of these things that these shoes that have been on steroids. It's weird.
Yeah, it was like, I think it's a bit of like a fashion trend that started on the high fashion side of things, and it's kind of trickled down into the sneaker world. It's not, I don't get it. I'll admit that, like, I don't necessarily get it, but I do know that people really like it, and like it's starting to impact the street sneakers. Usually it's the street sneakers that impacts the high fashion stuff.
Yeah.
But the high fashion stuff is kind of starting to trickle down and go the opposite way, which is not something that usually happens.
Yeah. How much it is, because a word that you've said a bunch of times today is the culture, and how much of the culture, which truth be told, is black culture a lot of times, because we have seen it where with women, where they want it to be small and skinny and petite. Now they all want big butts and the curvaceous. And then it was the nails. Like if you had nails, colorful nails with art on them, you were considered ghetto, and now that's like common practice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with the, like, how much what exactly is the culture?
The way that I think of the culture are people that have a love or appreciation for sneakers, like an honest and true, authentic love and appreciation for sneakers. I think obviously in black neighborhoods that's just a part of being around the inner city. Like those things are coveted, and they gain value in that way. But that's how I would describe it. Someone that has a passion and love for sneakers.
All right. Before we get you up out of here today, Jacques, I appreciate you joining us. But you're also into other things. You're into music. You're into photography, and I think that that's cool because I always tell my kids, I'm like, listen, you have other options. Like you don't have to be an athlete, and you don't have to necessarily be an academic in that way. Like
Right.
yes, we got to get these books. Yes, we got to get these schools, but like it's okay to go be like I'm encouraging my oldest son. He loves food and he loves cooking. I'm like, listen, we will send you to cooking classes, all these things, because you never know. Like you might be a chef. So how did you get into for photography?
The photography started just because I just got really curious about it out of nowhere. Probably about 10, 15 years ago, I just got really curious about photography, and so I bought myself one of those little small, something like this, a little small one like this, and I started taking pictures, and I was looking at stuff online about how to do certain things, and then that curiosity just grew until I got like a big DSLR and started shooting with that, and then I started buying a bunch of lenses,
Yeah.
and then I started doing like I did a couple weddings, like I did some wedding stuff. I take a lot of pictures of my family, like at all like the family events. I'm taking pictures of people. Like it just kind of grew. It grew out of a small curiosity of like, oh, I wonder how they got that picture, and then it just took on a life of its own.
How do you fight the stereotypes, like in terms of, because when you're a black guy, like it's not cool. Like, well, I think it's changed some, but it didn't used to be cool to be a photographer. It didn't used to be cool to
Right.
to be a YouTuber and not be cussing and not be all of these things. So how do you fight that perception? And what would you say to kids that are like, I have other interests, but like it's not quite cool.
Yeah, I think for me, the way I look at it is, I chased after my own passions. Like no one's going to approve of everything that you do. No one's gonna like everything that you do. So for me, I got into photography because I thought it was cool. I wanted to know how they got certain shots. How were they able to do this? Why was it blurry and this part was in focus? Or how did they get the sun to look like that? So
Yeah.
all of those things, I think they kind of fed into my natural curiosity. I was the kid that like took the toys apart to kind of see how they work. And so I think the photography was just an offshoot of that, that natural curiosity that I had of trying to figure out how things work or how to do certain things. And so for kids out there that are doing things that aren't quote unquote cool, like long as it works for you, like that's all that really has to matter. Like no one, like I try not to subscribe to like, oh, if my friends don't like it, then I can't do it. If it's something that I like, then that's something that I'm going to do. And I think kids should chase their passions in that way, because you never know what it's going to turn into. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea photography would be a thing for me, but because of photography, that got me into video. Because
Yeah.
I got me into video, I was able to put the YouTube videos together myself for the publishers when I was working for those publishers, and that obviously brought me to here now, to where I am now. And I know the ins and outs of probably 3 or 4 cameras that I have sitting in this room.
That's dope, man. And you're also into music
Yeah.
as well. So I have to ask you this for the culture, man. Why did y'all pump up Jacques to say that he was the king of R&B?
I did not
You did
pump
this.
him up to say that.
You and your cohorts did this.
I don't know where he got that assumption. I appreciate his confidence, but I suggest he do a little bit more research on what other R&B is out there, past and present,
Yeah.
and maybe reevaluate. Maybe
Nobody can even name a Jacques song. Like try to name 3 Jacques songs fast.
I don't know any Jacques songs.
Exactly.
So
So
I'll
you
keep it
can't be the
100.
king.
I'm not from. I know who he is. I know that he does music, and 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 if I'm gonna keep it totally 100, the only reason I know that is because his name is spelled so close to mine
Yeah.
that people have thought I was him. So I guess that's all I know
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That's how I found out about him because I looked him up because people started calling me Jacques and I was like, no, it's Jacques. And they was like, oh, your name is spelled just like this singer. And I was
No,
like,
his
oh,
name spelled like mine, actually. That's what you Dude, like people have really been pumping this dude up because the funny part is that people reacted like strongly when Whitney Houston said that Bobby Brown was the king of R&B. So
right.
you who've got no platinum albums, gold albums, silver albums, and like people can't name your stuff, like I liken this to the young kids because their favorite thing to say now is, "Oh, I'm a god at this. I'm I'm the man at this." Bro,
Yeah,
you ain't
yeah.
even scratched the damn surface.
Right. But on the other side, and the flip side of that, like we're all talking about Jacques now. No, we weren't talking about him before, whatever, last Thursday or Friday. So
Yeah.
I give him credit in that regard. He got his name out there.
Yeah, you are 100% right. Hey, you guys, we were joined today by Mr. Jacques Slade, aka at Cousteau. You can
Yeah.
find him on YouTube, guys. Find him on YouTube at Cousteau, Kustoo. All type of unboxings, unveilings.
Yeah.
Jacques, tell the people what you have coming up next and anything else you want to tell them.
I have a I have a couple projects, obviously that I honestly can't talk about, but I think they'll be really exciting in the new year. I do a show on Instagram called What's Poppin'. You can follow me there if you want to see that. But I'm on, just on social media, talking sneakers, sports, and pop culture. You'll find me on Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Snapchat a little bit, not as much as I used to be. And then YouTube, mostly on YouTube, all the videos, the unboxings. Just did some stuff with Steph Curry. You can see that on the channel. That's up. And I got some stuff coming up that I did with Kobe and Michael B. Jordan. That'll be happening within the next week or so. Yeah,
So
it's
you
coming.
just showing off now. So now you
No,
just showing.
no,
Oh, I'm
no,
working.
no.
No. That's not. I was joking. That's actually like dope, dude. You're working with Kobe, Michael B. Jordan, Steph Curry, bro. This is a testament to your hard work and dedication. Because I think the biggest thing, like when people really want to do something in life, like they're not willing to put in that 10,000 hours because
Right.
you weren't getting interviews with Kobe and all of this stuff 3-4 years ago. You were
Nope.
just and you weren't getting free shoes and all this stuff to the level that you are now. You were a man just picking up shoes, trying to just create something.
Yep. That's all it was, and it's turned into what it is now. And it's honestly even harder now than it was back then.
Why?
I just think just because there's so much more work involved, there's so many more things to think about now. I think, to get here is great, but you want to obviously continue to grow. And I think once you get to a certain point to grow out of that, it gets even more difficult and you have to be more strategic and more intentional about the things that you do. So for me, I think I've gotten here and now it's like cool, but now what? How do I continue to keep this going?
Well, I'm going to drop my son off there over the Christmas break. The way he can shadow you and he can see what it is that you do. The way he can turn all this sneaker passion into some sort of like thing, because I see how many kids are able to like like kids giving reviews and talking
Yep.
about this stuff is just as popular or even sometimes more popular than
More
the
popular.
adults doing it.
Yep, absolutely. He needs to, he's welcome to come over here whenever you want to bring him by. He's welcome to come by and check things out.
All right. Well, thanks, Jacques. I appreciate it. You guys, thanks for joining Unafraid Show. Make sure you share it with a friend. Tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. Follow Jacques at Cousteau and subscribe to his channel. Share it with people. The man is dope. He's a good person. Oh, I didn't even get a chance to talk about like the charity stuff he does with sneakers and all of that.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on the show. I definitely appreciate it. We obviously go way back, like years and years and years. So it's good it's good to see you out here making your own thing and doing this. I can't wait to see where the Afraid show goes.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Peace out. Catch you guys later on.
Peace.